Any maybe horror stories you remember you would like to share? Something that was
So I've
crazy?
probably got a few things here. So PatchStack this month removed their minimum for 1K installs in plugins and themes, so you could report anything that was still active on the WordPress.org repo. So I've reported about 120 vulnerabilities this month, so I'm quite tired now, but I found lots, and I was really focusing on the high impact vulnerabilities. So I found a lot of file uploads, privilege escalations, those kind of things were the main things I was looking at. So I've seen a few like really silly things this month. There was at least 3 plugins that did this in slightly different ways, but every endpoint in WordPress you could put at the end of the URL, you could put $ID equals 1, and you would become the admin user. So
Wow.
yeah, and there
Via
was
session cookie, or how would it
yeah, it
happen?
would just update the session cookie to log you in as admin straight away. So you just go to any URL in WordPress, put ID equals 1, bam, press enter, you're admin.
That's wonderful. How do you do this? How do you do this? Like what happened behind the scenes? How this that ID number one parameter changed you for the admin? There was a user in the user list that with the ID of number one, and by the mistake you would get promoted to that user.
Yeah, so like in almost every WordPress setup, your administrator user will have ID 1. Like very occasionally you'd need to enumerate that, but that's something you could find out very easily, and WordPress exposes a lot of user information like that without authentication. So you can get a user ID, you can probably find out an admin user ID. And it's difficult to always know the developer's justification in writing some code. I know in one of the plugins, they defined a load of rest routes which inherited from an abstract rest route class. And in the initialization for that rest route class, they had the ability to provide a parameter which would change the user ID. So I assume that this was something they might have put in for testing, or if there was some sort of admin functionality where they needed to hit rest routes as different users. So that one just made every rest route be able to instantly log in as admin, and it would return the cookie. So then you could use that to log into the normal admin panel. Yeah, I saw some others that were in. So some plugins will give you deliberately give you the ability as admin to log in as other users to see what the panel looks like, and then give you the ability to switch back to admin. And it's quite easy to mess that up. If you've got a button you can click to go back to being admin, you might not necessarily need to have been admin previously for you to be able to press that button and take over an admin account. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of silly coding mistakes I found. And because that install count was much lower, you get to see a lot of the stuff that hasn't really had many eyes looking over it. And when I went into it, I was thinking, these are all going to be plugins that have become abandoned and no one's looked at for like 10, 15 years. And like some of them definitely were, but there was a surprising amount of them that have just been updated in the past few months. And they've got these massive critical vulnerabilities in that allow anyone to suddenly become admin with no authentication.